Hello noble ones and welcome to Metatron's Academy. Today we are talking about the Ladin language. Now if you've never heard of this language, on this channel we have made several videos about the languages called Friulian, spoken in the Friuli, Venezia, Giulia region of northeastern Italy. And then we made a video dedicated to the Romansh language, which is a Romance language or Rhaeto-Romance language, subgroup or category of languages spoken in the southern section of Switzerland. But today we're talking about Ladin, which is a language that is related to these two, so it's still a Rhaeto-Romance language subgroup, but it's spoken specifically in the northern valleys of the Alps. So it's a language that developed most likely from Latin, even though it had pressure from other languages, surrounding languages, but it developed from Latin during the Romanization of the Alps. Now, this language is fascinating. What we're trying to test is that, as we always do on this series, as a native Italian speaker, can I understand this language that is spoken within Italy? But it's, of course, spoken by a very small amount of people that have their own uniqueness, if you will, both culturally and linguistically. How much can I understand? So before we jump into a couple of videos, I'd like to underline there are several varieties. So this language is spoken, again, not by many people, but yet there are varieties, depending on which valley you listen to. And today we're focusing on the variety that is spoken in the valley of Val Badia, Val meaning valley, which is the valley of the Gran Ega River in South Tyrol, northern Italy. There are other varieties, perhaps we could make other videos about it. This language is interesting. It was almost outlawed during fascist Italy because of, Benito Mussolini trying to force Italian onto these people, but they kind of clinged onto it and it still exists. Let's see how different it is from spoken Italian and how much I can understand. Let's go.
Mia uma diso da gnara kanke jönoronia mangevan disola mbur Moose, Edanyara Moo.
So far, this elderly lady speaking, the only thing I understood is I was eating. And then I think she said butter, nothing else. I only understood that she was eating butter. I think.
Via la vaccia, via il vadel, che vuol dire una aperta e mezzo, poi è mezzo anche l'altra aperta.
Chicken dus buta kom.
So what the little kid said, I have no idea, but already actually I understood absolutely nothing. It sounds 100% foreign to me. I'm noticing that they don't seem to roll their R's. I don't know if this is specific of just these speakers, maybe not all speakers. We'll have to listen to a secondary video to kind of double check that one. Let's go.
The chicken brontla, chicken plesnia, alla fin il compro un po', o duolo un po'.
Here I only understood alla fin, meaning at the end, because in Italian we would say alla fine. And of course, as I was expecting, a lot of northern regional languages in Italy, one of the characteristics is that they tend to cut the final vowel. This happens on a lot of accents as well. So people from the north, depending on which region, when they speak Italian, even if they're speaking Italian, not their regional variety, they tend to kind of remove the final vowel a lot. So sono becomes son, bene becomes ben, tutto ben. So they tend to do that. And I am seeing this in this Ladin language too. I see that they're cutting stuff off, the final vowels, which is to be expected. But then the language has kind of a German flair to me, particularly because of the way they're pronouncing the R. And also I'm hearing sounds like a U sound, which doesn't exist in Italian. So far, it's a mixture, from my Italian ear, between a northern regional language and a little bit of German in there.
Je song Martina Rier, je song de Ortijai e Trentani, e Lauritlo da Urmei Ota.
So this part I understood a little more. She said her name, she said where she's from, and then she said that she's 30, I believe. So this part was recognizable.
Ani da Radio Gardaina, lo unic radio privat que je tot valides Ladines e Masatrat Bel.
And I think she said that she's running the only private radio that broadcasts in the Ladin language. Again, I'm understanding, not necessarily because I'm understanding every word, I'm not, but because the words that I'm understanding are keywords that underline and identify the overall context, and so I can recognize sort of what she's talking about. But it is very difficult because it's very different from Italian.
Mi nome è David Temets, io sono 3 anni e vedi la scuola di francescani, sono la seconda media.
Goodness gracious, they could have avoided him using the little toy. Okay, so he said his age, but I didn't understand the number. He sounds very young, so it must be a number between 10 and 14, but I did not recognize it, which is fascinating, because usually numbers are a common ground between these languages. I did not recognize it. He said he's in the second grade of middle school. That sounded almost exactly like Italian. In Italian, we say seconda media. Of course, it's second grade within the Italian system, because, of course, the system is different when you compare it to Great Britain or America or what have you. But yeah, that one I understood. And then he said that I think that he named the school, which is a Catholic school connected to the Franciscan monks order.
Viva Bolzano.
And then he said he lives in Bolzano, which he pronounced Bolzan. So once again, he's cutting off the final vowel. Now it's the grandma speaking again. Let's go.
Piccinini, sono nasciuta a Badia, la Val Badia. Badia è il mio post, la Val Badia.
Okay, so now she said her name, and she said that she was born. I recognized that one because it once again was very close to how some regional areas of northern Italy say it, nasciut, sun nasciut, something like that. And then she first said that she was born in Badia, and then she specified Val Badia. Of course, I could recognize those being toponyms.
Jag vet 3 anni a Saint-Chachan, là che ha un piccolo hotel. E zijn sono ze in pensione.
So I believe now she said that she has lived, because abit sounds like abitare in Italian, which means to dwell. And so I believe she said that she lived in another place, which I don't recognize the name. And maybe because she had some kind of hotel business, something like that.
Toen e fez vinhosort de la Ursa. Je mangi d'argent bales da cioce, turtres e casinci.
Kebab.
Nothing. I did not understand anything here.
Fast food. Steak al sangue.
Okay, so they are talking about what they're eating. I did think for a moment that she said the word to eat, but then I was like, I don't know. But now he said, of course, fast food. He used English, and then he said steak al sangue, so steak means, but steak is English, so I don't know why he said steak. Maybe it just sounds like it, but in Italian would be bistecca, so maybe they just remove the bis part and just say steak. Al sangue is the Italian way to say rare, when your beef is rare, which literally means at blood, for obvious reasons. Let's change video and let's see if we find the same thing about the R, or if it's just a characteristic of this family.
The Val Badia lə-DEEN language.
lə-DEEN badiot t'la Val Badia.
The Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
Declarațion Universală de Drepturi Umans. Articol 1. Totes les persones naix ledies e con la medema dignité e i medemi derci, a rezana ragiun in accoscianza e messi in conte una con l'altra d'un spirit de fraternité.
Okay, so as you can see, this person here who made the recording actually is trilling their R's. So it might be either a situation that depends on where the speaker is from, but this is also from Val Badia. It's probably a speaker-by-speaker, a case-by-case scenario, not necessarily a characteristic of the language as a whole. Because now we've had both examples. And when it comes to what she's reading, this declaration of equal rights, whatever it is, I could kind of tell what she was saying. Like I would skip into one sentence, understand the following sentence. So there is some common ground there. Still kind of difficult though.
Numbers.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Are you noticing cinque, set instead of cinque, sette? As I was saying, cut off the final vowel, very common occurrence, so I was correct with that one.
8, 9, 10.
Ot.
Greetings and
She said ot, so cut instead of otto, and then nu for 9, which once again presents this U sound, which is definitely Germanic in the sense that it happens both in French and in German, but usually doesn't happen in Italian, which kind of distinguishes it and sets it apart as a kind of a link language, I think. Very interesting. Let's have a look at the greetings and phrases.
Benju. Oi, ciao. Kovarapa. Bun jolang jate. Tandiki ne sodognia. Quaste pang nom. Juang nom. Daula estepa. Ju sunda. Plaži da te conosce.
So here I only understood ciao, and then they had oi as an alternative. I didn't understand where are you from, but I didn't understand I'm from, interestingly enough. And then she said, like, she definitely said, like, how are you? I didn't get that part. And then she said something else. I don't remember now. But yeah, very, very different.
Bunde, bundomiste, buonasera, bonanet, assodei.
Of course, buonasera, the way she said it, sounds like buonasera in Italian, very similar. Slight different in vowel quality. And then good night sounded quite similar as well, since we say buonanotte.
Dimbelde, bun pro, aste capi, ja capi, inagna capi.
Capi must be understand. Let me double check that one. Yeah, do you understand? So capi, because we do say capire in Italian, and there are some, I think, is it in Milan where they say te capi? I think it is Milan. So this one is again in connection with other regional varieties of regional languages in northern Italy that I'm already kind of familiar with. So some things I understand, but in general, quite difficult to understand. I would like to put it into the 40% range for me. Sometimes I understand, sometimes I don't. Definitely easier to understand Spanish for me than to understand Latin. Isn't that fascinating? But anyways, I hope that you enjoyed this one, and thank you so much for your support. Please leave in the comments how much you could understand and what language you speak. Thank you very much for joining Metatron's Academy.